I am your host, Maria Teresa. I am a celestial shaman, a master of soul light frequencies. I am a mother, a sister, a daughter. I am a woman walking this journey of life in truth, guided by the power of love. And I'm very excited to share my journey. I believe I am here to help heal humanity one heart at a time through shamanic healing, through poetry, and through channeled light language. I would love to introduce my co host. He is a dear friend of mine, an intuitive healer, a coach, a guide. We are both galactic ambassadors, and his name is Mr. Christopher Marc. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Hello there. We are in episode 3 of Maria Teresa's Emotional Musings podcast. And this will be a part 2 from what we spoke about in episode 2. Um, I am just 3 weeks left to go here in Utah, wrapping up what will be an 8-month healing container of this awakening to my galactic warrior self. I had 12 weeks in Connecticut. That's what we focused on a lot of episode 2. And it'll be 18 and a half weeks here total in Utah. So I think where we left off when we wanted to, before I just start talking, let me introduce my co-host, my dear friend, my partner, my business mentor, my guide, the man who's kept me together, the glue in all of this, Mr. Christopher Marc. Hello.
Hey guys, how are you? Yeah, this episode is going to be really fun. So we're going to dive deep. I hope you guys enjoy.
Okay, let's just talk about so the subconscious healing part. So when I got here in February, kind of what we left off on in episode 2 is like the first 2 weeks in February were just like a wash for me. And they were the last 2 weeks of February. I got here February 20th, which was the conjunction between I believe it was Saturn and Aries.
Mm-hmm.
There was a giant conjunction that day, and I knew I made the ticket. I was like, of course I'm flying on this day. Makes perfect sense. So then I just slept for 2 weeks. So then March was really having me rehab a lot. And then April was when we dove into the subconscious healing. And that was 2 weeks. Um, and so, yeah, that was to clear all the blocks and face all the shadows in like the deepest way that I've ever done before. Um, I've had a little bit of hypnosis, but this was entirely different. So I'm gonna let you take it because that was I needed your help to do this. This was your assistance.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times people don't really understand, um, the depths of subconscious work, and a lot of times it's like you are, you're not just, there's different layers. There's the first layer usually when you're talking to someone and you're kind of helping them to work through things subconsciously, but they're working through it, externally on their own. And then you have it where there's like a deep dive, and it really requires a full energetic shift. And, you know, the thing about it is like, especially when it came to you, Maria, like it was, we had to cover multiple ages in a period of 2 weeks, which usually it takes like people like a couple months, some breathing room, right? Uh, it wasn't much breathing room. She was like every night. I'm like, all right, I'm sure she's probably exhausted. She's done. All right, so next night, you ready? And I'm like, what? Yeah,
Yeah.
tonight. Okay, and I'm like, okay. She was like, yeah, this was rough. The night was rough. Oh man. Okay, all right. So she's probably tired. She's gonna need a cup some time. Okay, next. You ready? And I'm like, all right, she's a beast. I'm like, all right, let's just go. Um,
Yeah, I process everything incredibly quickly. That is due to my fire energy. I have a stellium, like I spoke about in the last episode, my sun, my moon, my Venus, my Neptune. I also have Mars and Leo. I am super fiery and I move very quick. It's also how I'm wired. Because I'm wired for humanity and I am a visionary, my teacher used to always say this to me. She's like, you are like years ahead, Maria. You're like living in the future. And I really am. It's something I do all the time, diving back and forth between, I mean, even you said to me, you're like, oh yeah, I was speaking to, your future self today. Like, whether it's Adelia, my galactic consciousness, or like, you know, the blend of the two. But yeah, I'm everywhere.
yeah, yeah. It was so. I mean, the process of everything was very intense. It started off like, I think we started off at 2 years old, and then we put
Hmm.
forward from there, and we you know, at different age points, it was like these were pivotal moments for her. What I noticed was like these were like almost like anchor points in her timeline. And you know, it was more about, okay, this period is where she felt connected to her higher consciousness. And then another period was when, everything started to shift energetically for her to go through her awakening. And and
That
then
was that
everything.
age. I'm trying to think. That was at age,
I think that was like, what was that?
well,
We
so
were at,
15 years ago. So like,
yeah,
I mean, 2011, that was a huge, huge time for me. But like 17 was when, which unbeknownst to me, I was possessed by the
and
demon that has been attacking my family for generations. And I've been carrying it all this time. Um, And then, like, side note, I've always said that I feel like I'm 17 because I have a very big childlike personality. Um, as do a lot of channels, as people who do channel spirit the way that I do. We tend to get kind of lost between like versions of ourselves and spirit, but there was a lot of things that came up within different ages that was, some of it I have a vague memory of, and some of it was so suppressed and so stuffed that it was so shocking.
yeah, and I think it was, and it was, at certain points, it was like when we were having the session, there was just like walls up for certain things, and you know, what I had to do was just kind of like help, essentially guide Maria like through to basically like, okay, hey, we need to pull this down. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
'cause sometimes what happens with people, especially on the subconscious level, there are things that are like walls that are created, things that are just blocked out, things that will, so that they can preserve like your conscious mind, you to just function. And, but in energetically, something is off, or something is not allowing you to fully. It's almost like, where a person might want to reach their arms up, but then when they start to go a little too high and they feel something like a pain in their back or their shoulder, it's like that's when they know that's like something's off here. Like I'm not fully me.
That's a
And
really good way of describing it because, like, in order to do this and to bring down the walls, you would be guiding me through like some breath work. And so
yeah,
once I would be breathing, and then when you think about it, those of us who have been through trauma, we know this. You tend to hold your breath. Breath work has been incredibly vital to me. And I want
hmm
to shout out to my friend Chrissy Marie, who I've been doing breath work with for years. She holds a beautiful container, and for years that has really been pivotal for me in my work, my solo work, and also
hmm
helping me to journey with my guides. But the breathing, because I had stuffed so many things so deeply within me, um that it was blocking my energy. And then a lot of these things too, which, people who have slept around me know, I talk in my sleep. And so there were things going on that I was talking in my sleep, and it was all due to the subconscious stuff that I was holding on to, which is
And
wild.
yeah, it was a lot that was trying to come to the surface, and it was a lot of moments I found that were so pivotal to you you processing everything, to everything that happened afterwards, like as far as like, your family, and
Mm,
your children. Like it was a lot that happened that honestly wasn't, looking at everything on that level, it was, a lot of it was out of your control, and a lot of times when you're living consciously in a conscious world, in this 3D, dimension, while simultaneously, you know, processing things subconsciously and dealing with so much subconsciously, a lot of times people might say, okay, well, maybe this person's trying to blame it on this or blame it on that. Um, no. Most times what happens is that you literally, when you go through things, at any trauma, especially consecutive trauma, you know, it breaks your consciousness, and it has to split. I remember me and Maria was talking about this, and we were talking about the number of guides that she has. And it's like, I explained to her, I'm like,
it literally takes a village. It literally takes a
yeah,
village to keep me
I was like,
together.
that's how much trauma you've been through. That's
Hmm.
how much pain you've gone through. Because, if you have, and anyone who is, spiritually guided, when you have multiple guides, they're there to preserve your consciousness or preserve your energetic field, so that way it doesn't collapse on itself. Because especially when you're going through traumatic experiences, your trauma that you experience creates thresholds, which allows for you to, gain access to the depths and the dimensions of who you are in your conscious awareness. And so it's like, as you're guided through this, you are learning, like, okay, who am I? Who am I not? Is this who I'm supposed to be? Like, you're processing so much all at once. And now imagine doing all of that and you have a family.
Well,
And
and that's what I was just gonna say. Like, for when everything really started to collapse, like when my world really started to crumble and crack, was in 2010 and 2011, when I said to my ex-husband, I feel like I'm going crazy. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't love you anymore. And I wanted him to leave with the kids.
mm,
Um, because I was so, like, my intention of that was to protect them from what I was afraid was happening, which was me completely crumbling and coming apart, because
yeah,
everything that I had built was starting to crumble. I mean,
yeah,
and then add into that, like, my addiction to alcohol, leaning into drugs, like all of these things that were trying to keep me together, and keep me connected to my higher consciousness, was completely destroying me. And so everything was coming down. And it was wild because I had done this session years before that with a Reiki a friend of mine who does Reiki, and she had seen me in a castle that was built on sand. And then, like, all these years later, all of this happens. And so that's exactly what happened. Everything just started to break and crumble. And in future episodes, I will talk about the actual trauma that I went through, and like what happened, and the behind the scenes of all of that. But really, a lot of things just got stuffed into my subconscious in order for me to function and to move forward with my life. But, like, to be clear, there were years between 2011 and like 2016, 2017, 2018. I'd say like 2012 to 2018, I was not functioning. I was not functioning very well at all.
yeah.
And I was off and on sober. I dove into a really heavy drug use time where I was smoking crack. And that is something that, you know, I'm going to put out there. It was horrendous. But that's what I was doing. And I was, I was so afraid to be in public. But that was due to being strangled and, uh, beat, with something in my personal life and also in my professional life, that was going on in 2011. That I don't really want to cover in this episode, but those two things really, really impacted how I moved forward for the next few years, like 5 years, um, just as a person.
Mhm.
Forget like, channeling spirit or just having any kind of a life. I didn't have a life. I
Mhm.
really wasn't functioning for like years.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, like with people, and I know that when me and you started talking, and you were like, um, asking me like, "Hey, are you an open channel?" And I was like, "No." I'm like, but then me and you had this experience where I was kind of essentially stepping into your role for a moment, and
Hmm.
I was like, "This sucks." I'm like, this totally
Yes,
sucks.
because
I'm like, "Who would want this
you were
job?
having
Oh
to
my
bring
god, hire me."
yeah, you were having to bring forth um some of my guides for me,
Yeah, yeah,
because
and
it was kind of like we switched roles. Because, like, to be clear, like shamanic journeying, like when I'm in sessions, I'm dropped in and I'm like working in people's energetic fields, and my guides are helping me, and my guides are the ones who are showing me where things are. I'm connecting with the other person's guides. I'm now, since I've elevated and evolved quite a bit over the years, I now do everything through light language. So it's just very different. What you do, Christopher, is really, it's like so intricate,
mm, yeah,
I mean, and you're not like, I mean, you can channel, but like you don't do that the way that I do.
no,
Um,
no,
and so like every time we would have, so like this went on for 2 weeks every night. I think we had like maybe one night off, but like 2 weeks. So for me, what was going on was I'd have to attune my body to all of the information, the pain that was being released. Because I was
mm,
carrying, we just talked about this the other day. Like I've been carrying not only pain that I've caused other people, because I'm very aware that I've made a lot of mistakes and I've hurt a lot of people, but also the pain that I've been carrying for others. And so all of that is being released now. So just the transmuting, and I'm here in Utah. It's a very dry climate. We're actually in a drought right now. My throat has been sore. I mean, how many times have I said to you, like, how many cuts are in my nose from like
yeah.
just blowing my nose constantly, and then all the crying, the sobbing. I mean,
Hold on, can
it.
we pause for a minute? We
Yes,
gotta
we
pause. The
can.
crying. Let's acknowledge the crying, the level of tissues that she has ran through. Um,
Boxes, boxes.
yeah, boxes, you know what I mean? After a while, I was just like, I think you should just get toilet paper and just call it a day and just be like, get a bunch of toilet paper and call it, just line it up and just be like, hey, go ahead. Because it's when you're dealing with anything that involves this level of intensity, this level of energetic shifting, it's like you're releasing so much, and a lot of it is stored within your nervous system, within your cells. Like a lot of it is really being released and reconfigured in order for you to evolve into who you need to be. And it's very painful
So
because it's like,
painful. So
it's very,
painful. And I really like, I mean, I've mentioned this a few times. Like, I am somebody who's super, super active. This has been the most time that I have spent not only quiet, because I'm isolated and I don't talk to anybody, including people that I know. Like God is keeping God and my guides are like holding all of my people from me. So there's that aspect of it. There's the quietness, but there's the stillness. There is the literally the sleeping and the resting and the not being able to do anything, which is incredibly hard for someone like me. I have so much energy most of the time, like all the time, except for this entire container. I just last month in May, started walking to the pool. And so from here where I am, it's like a 9 mile round trip. And
Yeah.
I try to do it like every day because I need to get my strength and my body back and like, working back to where I was. But to not do that, to just be able to like go down the street and then I'd be like exhausted and I'd come back here and sleep for 3 hours. It was so intense. The just trying to attune to all this and the darkness. So again, I'm somebody who's light sensitive. So like I have two different kinds of eye masks that I use. One's a little heavier, it's more of a pillow. The other one's a mask. So like the quiet, the stillness, and the darkness, the need for me to meditate, to really adjust to everything that was happening within me. And then like you and I would talk on the phone and I would just be so overly sensitive, which to be clear, I'm autistic and sensitive as it is. So this was like a nerve, like an open nerve. I was just like this little baby open nerve
Y-
for a while. Everything was like
Right.
a meltdown. Everything was a meltdown.
Yeah, I think with and I'm going to kind of elaborate on this. So it's like, once so once you do subconscious work and you remove like any shadows and you really
Mm.
start to um allow for keep things the way that it needs to be, like, and preserve the subconscious, but also cleansing it so that way there's no contaminated energy. And so when your energy starts to your subconscious starts to say, okay, well, let me try to like figure out, okay, where is the darkness at? So at first it was this,
Hmm.
she was her subconscious was searching for it because it knew that it's like, okay, this is usually here. It's not here anymore. Because when you have shadow, like, subconscious shadows, like it allows for you to attract certain type of people. You're drawn
Well,
to certain,
it's also a safety. It was like my
it's,
safety within myself. Like I was looking for my internal security blanket.
yeah, yeah.
And now there's none. Like I'm literally just operating in pure light now, which is amazing. Like it sounds amazing, right? But the
It's not-
reality of that is that the reality of that, my friend, is that it's scary as all
I'm,
get out. It's
no,
not a
why am I
fucking joke.
laughing? I'm gonna
Why are
tell
you
you.
laughing? Tell me why you're
I'm gonna
laughing.
tell you why I'm laughing because I remember. So, so
Oh,
I
there's
rem-
so many things that we can say, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I remember when when the 2 weeks was over, and she was like so super sensitive to everything, the light, sound, everything, people's energy, because she was just taking in so much all at once. And she was just like, wait, so are you telling me this is how I have to be? Like, and when so here's the difference when you're living a life where you're kind of like going from darkness into light, and you're kind of balancing between darkness and light versus where you become pure light. Now when you become pure light, everything that's dark, you feel it all. And now you have to
Mm.
mute it into light all the time. And so you're feeling the purity of the darkness itself versus you actually having darkness that, and Maria, you've told me this numerous of times where you're just like, hey, like I've done like like work on myself. I've done the work where it's like I've worked with people and I've worked with myself. And I had explained to her, I was like, I can see when I look at people or when I have to like work with people, I can literally see like the levels of who you are as a person and the dimensions of who you are. And so like I could see at the top of who she was energetically, like it was great. At the bottom, it was just like this thing that was always holding her back in a way that was, whether it was emotionally, spiritually, it was just a lot of things that it was on an energetic level. It was nothing that she could do physically on a conscious level because um, you needed somebody who could help you with it and who could understand the depths of that level of work.
Are you going through a spiritual awakening or already a seasoned veteran in your spiritual journey. Do you feel like you have gifts and you're just not sure of how to use them or adjust to having them in this world? I am here to help you on your path to enlightenment. I offer spiritual coaching and shamanic guidance. I am Maria Teresa. I am a celestial shaman and master of soul light frequencies. I would love to guide you to your soul. Enlighten in shadow, always with love. Namaste.
And so,
So,
go ahead.
yeah, so like I just want to cut in here because I want to say as a gifted person already, I'm somebody who, all of my clairs are loud and alive. And now they are so much more elevated.
Mhm.
But my core wound I want to talk about is worthiness. So I was born with my Chiron and Taurus. We are going to be heading into that time period. Chiron is moving into Taurus June 19th, and that will be going on for 3 months until it retrogrades back into Aries, which is when we learn, the Aries is the I am, the self, and then it will spend 7 months in Chiron, April 2027 through to 2034. So that I have Chiron in Taurus in my 11th house, of public, your public standing, like how you present yourself to the world, and then my midhaven in Pisces, in the ninth house. So my core wound is worthiness. It's feeling worthy. So during this time, it was either when I was in Connecticut or when I got here, I can't remember, but I had said to you, for so long, this was why, when my marriage broke down, and like I lost everything, and I mean everything. Um, I went through a number of years where I continued to lose everything. I'm talking homes, I'm talking my car. And I did not like necessarily, that was not like a direct choice of mine. These were things that I was losing in order to heal this wound from the inside out. And I have not wanted to have these things ever since. That is humongous for people listening. This is how my life has been for 15 years. I have not lived alone. I have not owned a car because I did not feel worthy to have these things because I felt like I was going to fail. And that was deeply tied to everything that went on, not only through my life leading up to, my nervous breakdown and trying to take my own life, but then afterwards. So it has been so many years of me like internally holding myself back. This is the wound that my soul came here to heal. That is my core wound, is worthiness. And I just like did something on my social platforms and I shared it with Christopher before I shared it publicly. But I have been my own worst enemy. I have made so many mistakes that have hurt people, and I know that. But a lot of this has been out of my control and part of this journey. It has been part of my soul's journey to learn how to be in this world as an open channel for spirit, as a neurodivergent woman, as somebody who has experienced trauma, like all of these things, like I've come here in order to heal them so I can help other people do it. But I had to hold this for so long. And let me tell you, it's not easy. And I put on a brave face and I smile and I'm happy and I'm strong. But inside, I was dying. And that's
Yeah.
something that Christopher has helped me like bring out is my soft side. And that's something that like even talking about it, like I'm getting emotional because um I'm not somebody that cries in public. I'm certainly not somebody who's ever cried in front of my children. Um and essentially that has showed them that emotions aren't okay. And I'm sorry for that. But I feel like the other day I had this breakdown. It was just yesterday. And I like audio clipped Christopher right away because I had to tell myself it's okay to feel this much. It's okay to feel this much. It's okay. It's okay, Maria. It is okay to feel this much and to love this much because I do. I have such intensity of feelings and I've been masking
for so long. Like, I would so much rather feel into your journey and help you than help myself. But really, like, in order to do what I'm doing, everything has had to come through me. I've had to focus on myself. I've had to heal myself. And I've done a lot of trauma work and, being in the mental health system on medications and then holistic healing and meeting my teacher and doing energy healing and learning how to do it on myself and all these things. But what Christopher and I have been doing together for these past 7, will be 8 months, is phenomenally different and
Mhm.
has been an entire metamorphosis, because now I'm able to operate how I've always been meant to operate. Whereas, like, we shared, our connection in the last episode. You, Christopher, have been able to operate in your galactic consciousness your entire life, and you're about to be 39 years old. I'm
Mhm.
48, going to be 49 in December. Because of all of the breaking and because of the trauma and the things that I was going through, I have not had access to my own self my entire life, which sounds wild and is also true.
Yeah, yeah, because and to anyone out there who needs tissues,
Yeah, like
sorry.
I'm actually grabbing a tissue right now.
All right, sorry about that. This is the vibe. This is how we roll. This is what it is. So, if you got,
I'm not gonna blow my nose fully. I don't want to like scare people.
yeah, we're gonna have a disclaimer on this podcast from now on. Grab your tissues.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. I think that for me, it has always been my whole entire life was like this level of awareness, and just toggling between you know my conscious mind, subconscious, galactic consciousness, like, and feeling this calling, feeling this pull towards, you know, um, what I'm here to do. And, a lot of it was really understanding, feeling, carrying the weight of people's emotions and everything that they struggle with, and everything that they kept dormant. And so I remember my mom said to me one time, she was like, "You carry you carry everyone's goodness and everyone's demons." And I was just like, "Oh, that's nice." Um, and so, when but I felt there was so much truth in that. And so, on my journey of just like being a massage therapist, being an artist, being just so many things, and then also stepping into, now doing like, energetic architecture as far as like building people, helping them, restructuring, rewiring, like all of that level of work is like, it's very intense. And this is what, me and Maria, we talk about this all the time because she always says to me, she's like, I know you haven't dealt with anyone like me. And I was like,
No, because our souls set it up this way. Our
yeah, yeah,
souls set it up this way.
yeah.
um, which we, talked about in the last episode. Like, you are here to help. You are a cosmic creator, a cosmic builder, an architect. I am here to force people into self-reflection, especially people
Hmm.
who have abandoned themselves, because that
Hmm.
is what I have done my whole life. It's like I've almost been operating in like a muted way, because I knew that there was something more and I could feel into so much because I get so much. But
Hmm.
then there was always something blocking, like success. So now is my time for success, to really own all of this and lean into it. And which is why, I'm speaking um about all of this, and doing my light language events. We haven't really talked that much about those. My Pathways to Peace, a light language experience that was born last September. It had come to me with a dear friend of mine who was my apprentice. last year, she picked up on it in a vision, and I was like, yeah, and I just kind of started laughing. So I was like, yeah, that's what spirit wants me to do. They want me to be like channeling light language for people in mass, you know. Right now it's being held in yoga studios and just like spaces where people can be laying on mats, and just drop in and just receive the light language. But like all of this healing has evolved my light language in incredibly. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there was a lot of, and I'm gonna tell you guys, like, this is the process. What it's like for me, it's like every shift that she's going through, I can literally see the energy changing. Um, I remember when we were finished like the subconscious work, and like she's like, "What's happening?" And I was like, "You're all of all of your timelines are like merging. So throughout your whole entire life, everything's merging together as one." And then there was a period where, um, as far as energetically, like everything was just wide open. So it was like now she had new guides where they came in and essentially helped to create these barriers around her mind so that she can actually sleep and function. And then also being able to deliver when she had these events. And, each event, uh, yeah, each event was, it, it wasn't, the events wasn't for the people, even though the people showed up. They were these moments of like release for her. Um,
Mm.
and to step into different versions of like, stepping into disappointment. Because when certain events went well, some didn't. But I will say that when when your life is all about, not wanting success, what comes with,
Oh
and then,
my gosh. You and I have never even spoken about this, and now I'm seeing it. Oh my goodness.
right, right, here
Wow.
we go. Let's jump. So, when you're
Holy moly. Okay.
when you're afraid of success, what comes with success is disappointment. And that when you experience any form of disappointment, what triggers that disappointment is all of your disappointment. Like every disappointment you experience in your life all at once, especially the ones that are pivotal and the ones that are so traumatic, because it's like just like you have anchoring points in your life that allows for you to connect back to good things in your life, you have anchoring points that connect back to your trauma and the things that has essentially molded you as far as like what you do and what you don't do. And so, um,
Oh my gosh. And I've been so
when it
afraid of
came down,
failing my whole life. Like that has been something that I've been
hmm
afraid of is failing, is not being,
right.
it's so wild because it's the paradox of always being told like that I was so much. That was the message I got from like friends and family, like, oh my God, you're so much. Could you like tone it down? And so I, shrunk and tried not to shine, tried not to be who I am. Um, and did that for a long time and then, used drugs and alcohol in order to mute myself and disconnect. And ultimately I was just so afraid of failing. And so I didn't feel like I was enough. So it's like too much, not enough. But I was so afraid of success, self-sabotaging everything I've done. I wanted to be a dancer. That all went to shit. Um, College went to shit. Um, my marriage went to shit. Like, being, and Christopher has helped me to see this. And I know that like the truth of this is that I am a good mom, but from what has happened, it has really been very hard for me to feel that way all the time because I'm away from my kids and they've been away from me and it's been really, really, really fucking hard for all of us. And it's caused a lot of damage. And I've had to accept that. And my children are amazing. They're amazing people in spite of not being around me. And they have needed me. And so I needed all this time to heal for them to
Yeah.
come back, for them to feel like it's safe to be with mom. Because I really have no idea. Like I know what it's like with my parents, but my parents were married and they were together and I was around them my whole life up until the last few years when I've, stepped away from my mother, and my dad is now passed over in spirit. Um, but this has been an incredible journey. It has been an incredible journey of me standing in my power, of me owning my truth and owning my strength, as well as my vulnerability, because that is my superpower. Like, I didn't know that I was autistic all my life. Like, that is a huge thing to not
Mm.
like know one's truth. But really, it makes perfect sense because of my own sensibilities and sensitivities. But I was trying to turn them off and to ignore them, and all it did was cause me pain and all this like failure, really.
Yeah,
A lot of failure.
yeah. And I always kind of break this down to you. It's like, I remember when me and you first connected, and I had looked at your chart and
Mm.
noticed that your Pluto was in Libra, and I was just like, oh, okay. And I'm like, her North Node is Libra, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I'm noticing like your your Pisces is in your 10th house, and I'm like, oh, okay. So what I looked at and noticed was that, um, you're, as I always say this, is like you're a disruptor, you know?
Hmm.
And sometimes people look at that and like, man, why is it like, since you've been around, this is happening, that is happening. It feels like to the person unknown to what's going on, it feels like this person is quote unquote bad luck, right? But what happens is that it's shifting your reality to the point where it's forcing you out of where you are at now into another version that you need to become, because that version of you is dying.
Yeah.
And so when you show up right before it's getting ready to die and control
Hmm.
the person.
Hmm.
Most people don't know
I'm
this.
forcing the higher alignment. I'm forcing the higher
Exactly.
alignment is what's
When you
happening.
Yeah,
And
and you
it's wild because like my son, my older son, he's said this to me many times, especially like as he became older. He's like, "Mom, how many like a lot of bad things happen to you?" And I was like, "It's because God trusts me so much. Like I am a trusted servant of God, and I am. I'm sent into people's lives when they're in need of very deep healing, or if they're getting ready to transition."
Mhm.
To leave this planet and to go back into spirit. And that
Yeah.
is what I have been doing for many years, unbeknownst to me. And then obviously beknownst to me. My guides tell me like, this is where you're going and this is what's happening. And I'm like, okay, well, this will be fun. Because a lot of
Mhm.
times I can't even, I don't express that to the person that I'm with because that would, that would overwhelm them. And they probably would, not want me around.
I am Maria Teresa, and I would love to invite you to my in-person healing event, Pathways to Peace, a light language experience, June 20th at 7 p.m. at Wild Grace in Murray, Utah. Come enjoy channeled light language, where you will have a reset of your nervous system, overall peace and well-being, and an introduction to soul healing. Bring a friend and share in the healing. Use code LIGHT for 50% off your second ticket. That is June 20th in Murray, Utah at Wild Grace. I hope to see you there. In light and in shadow, always with love. Namaste.
So it's a lot of just it's a lot of trust that I have to have. It's a lot of trust that I'm given to have through the energy
Mhm.
and the spirit and what I'm reading in the frequencies. But it's a lot of trust that people give to me. My whole life, like I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but like I used to support people with challenges. Some people who were, nonverbal, severely autistic, MS, you name it. It was at a nonprofit in a community center. And one of my support staff, who actually the person who ended up saving my life because one of my clients strangled me in front of the population. But he would say to me all the time, he was like, "You have this invisible sign on your forehead, Maria, that says, it's okay, you can tell me." and it's invisible, but for the people who need it, it's like flashing neon. And that is
Mhm.
how I've lived my life. People just come up and talk to me. You know, my last one of my boyfriends, like he had explained to my son, he's like, people need to talk to your mom. They need to tell her things. They need to like, and I do, and I hold space for people. That is a giant part of what I do is is being a confidant. I call myself like a lockbox. I'm like this giant walking Rolodex slash lockbox for people's deepest, darkest.
Mhm.
And that is what I do.
Yeah.
Um, it's an honor and a privilege to do that because I know how important that is for people to be able to do. But you know, this journey with you, Christopher, has been is so, I mean, there's been so much of it that has been really hard work, but there's so much of it too that has been so lovely for you and I. Um, and so I don't know, I just need to say that. And thank you so much for being a part of this with me, for for being the light when things looked really, really dark when I was trying to adjust to this entire metamorphosis. Because yeah, I've never thought about exiting the world so many times as I have in these last couple months. And that's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And that's not easy to hold. That's not easy to hold.
no, it's not. And I know that and I appreciate that. I appreciate you and everything that you do. I remember so I'm gonna tell you guys, this is top secret. This is top cuff, you know. It's a super top secret. We're gonna keep it on this podcast, all right?
By the way, yo, I laugh a lot. I'm like, my sister calls me a giggle puss. It's my way of like alchemizing things. It's like I keep it light, but it's also like when it's part of my silliness, but it's also like when I am feeling something overwhelming, I'll just laugh. So I've noticed like while listening to these episodes, I'm like, gosh, I laugh all the time. So I hope you're
Yeah.
all enjoying my laughter because I can't hold it back.
Um,
Okay, go ahead.
so I remember, you know, when we were started working together, and um, Maria was like, she's like, so you publicly like professionally go by Christopher Mark, and I'm like, yeah. I was like, for my brothers, and like it's just also like it's just a name that I've just kind of like took on as far as like what I need to do as far as presenting myself to the world. Um, but she was just like, okay, well, can I call you Marcus? That's my name. So have you ever noticed that she was like, coming in and out of like, hey, Marcus? Oh, like, you know what I mean? And
In the
so
last episode,
when
yeah.
she,
In
when
the
she
last episode, I split a couple of times. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
easier for me. And now I call you my magical Marcus because that's what you are. You're my magical Marcus. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when she had, asked me, because she called me that, I was just like, um, nobody's ever asked. Like, I'm like, most people wind up, they find out because I'm around other people that I've always been working with. And so they're just like, hey, what's up, Mark? Or what's going on, Mark? It's like, and so by default, they start to call me that. Um, but yeah, like to have someone where I was kind of like, I'm working with them, and then they was like, hey, can I call you this? And I'm like, yeah. And it just, I don't know what it was, but it was just like so endearing. Um, and I think it was, I knew that in that moment that this was different, you know. Um,
What you and I are doing, yeah, it's a little different.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know
what we're
you
doing.
said to me many times that you wouldn't just do this for anybody.
No, no, because this is, I'm going to say
What
to you,
what exactly are we doing? You wanna tell people?
oh my God, we're doing a lot. We're
We
doing the
are.
most.
We're
We're
here
doing
doing
the
the
most.
most. Yeah.
This is this is us coming together um,
Hmm.
to embody love.
Hmm.
And, you know, to do that is a gift within itself. It's a
Hmm.
gift within itself to be able to do that. And, um,
That's like the flip side of like our core wound. because
Yeah.
love for us always meant pain because of what we've been through.
Always.
But in order and I've said this all along my career, since I started writing about it, is love is the greatest superpower there is. It is what
Mhm.
is here to heal the world. And I know that I am a leader in this love revolution. But in order to do that, I had to heal the love within myself, within me, and then with another person, like to embody like what we're doing, which is a divine union.
Yeah, because it's like,
And so
yeah,
it is like incredibly beautiful, which leads me to, me finishing and preparing my eighth manuscript to go to print, My Soul's Love, a book of spells. And that is all of our galactic communication that Marcus and I have had since 22, um, when he really started to come in to my field and deliver a lot of these poems. Um, and yeah, I mean, in order to heal it, you've gotta live it. You have to embody it, and that's where we're going with this. So I
mm,
kind of want to, on that note, switch gears a little bit and share a poem that I wrote about this time together. It is in June's post on emotional musings. This is where we are remembered in grace. Walk with me towards grace as we let go of the fears and burdensome pains of separation, coming together in unified gratification. Your energy provides such comfort, like a soft blanket of faith, warming the cold cracks from within of doubt and deeply wounded abandonment. For as we hold hands once again, after lifetimes of loneliness, searching for one another in shadows and broken memories, we remember the sacred brilliance of our combined heartbeat that emanates the healing brilliance of light. Walk with me towards grace as we can begin to erase the mistakes from past lives with a renewed commitment towards a successful union, one forged in the fires of transformative knowingness, bonded by a love that is magically blessed in galactic consciousness, waving goodbye to false identities that threatened our oneness. Together, we are recasting history and revealing the truth that only pure love can authentically share. Through passionate feelings, our energetic field becomes a living prayer of forgiveness. Together, we are the embodiment of God's grace in human form, breaking stereotypes and defying labels of what we call the norm. We are imperfect, multidimensional beings enjoying an earthly experience while gloriously singing the innate language of the light. Our energetic signatures are set to rewrite our love story, and our story in grace will indeed change the world. Because that's what we're doing here. We're a modern day fairy tale, y'all. The
yeah,
good, the bad, the ugly, all of it.
yeah. I mean, listen, we're going to dive deeper into episode 4 of how do you have a long distance relationship? And I'm gonna tell everybody this. I'm telling this to everybody.
With somebody that you're guiding and
Yeah,
and
do
healing at
not
the same
fall in
time.
love with somebody you're guiding. It is like the best and worst thing you will ever do in your life. It is like you'll be like, oh my gosh, she's so sweet. Oh my God, who is this? Like you you're gonna
Yeah.
you're gonna get both. And so it's like you know, and I think at the end of the day, it goes beyond, that's when love becomes unconditional.
Hmm.
Uh, when love
Well, to be
becomes,
clear, I just wanna like interject really quick before
yes,
you
yes,
share your share, which is I'm so excited for it.
yes.
Um, to be clear, both Marcus and I are very ethical healers, and that was something that was made very clear to me, not only through my teacher, but through God and my guides while
Hmm.
doing this work, that I would never do that. And I have never done that. And that is not the intention of the healing that we do. This is our soul. This is what our souls chose to do. This is how this was meant to happen for
Yeah,
Marcus to help me to heal and for us to come together. So this is a very unique situation. I just want to say that.
I'll back you up on this one. It is a very unique situation because,
We're not out here falling in love with everybody we heal. It's
yeah,
not how
yeah,
it is.
yeah. It's
Not how
not,
it goes.
hey, how you doing? Want to get some
No,
healing? Want to fall in love? Like it wasn't like
no,
that. Um,
not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
but
Just
it,
to be clear.
yeah, yeah. It was. I honestly will say this. It was just a pull. It was a knowing of familiarity, and you know, it's almost like, and I'm going to read this poem. This is a poem that I actually wrote to Maria a couple of days ago, just kind of to really define like this connection and how deep it goes. So this poem is called "The Essay of Your Essence." I know you so well. I have studied your neurons, your cells, your DNA, your nervous system like sacred architecture in motion, like a map of invisible cities running beneath your skin. The beginning of your thought, when it first reaches for meaning or love, the middle of your memory, where everything you live begins to echo, fold, and shape you, and the remembrance of your ending, where nothing is truly gone, only transformed, only carried differently. I know the rhythm of your heart when it rises with feeling, when it steadies in silence, when it breaks open without asking permission, when it reaches the tip of your climax and returns back into stillness again. I have traced its pattern like a language written in pulse and breath. I've studied the energy that moves through you, through your spine, through every point where awareness gathers, releases, and returns. Your chakra points speak in layers of light and frequency, each one holding its own intelligence, its own quiet truth. I have learnt you as both biology and mystery, as matter and meaning, as form and something beyond form. And I have studied you within physical time and within divine time, where beginning and ending sit in the same breath, where memory and possibility share the same space. That is how I know you, not as something I am learning, but as something I am. That is why you don't feel like something I discovered. You feel like someone I already knew.
When you shared that with me, the energy that just engulfs me when you and I speak soul to soul, whether it's light language or just in the words that we use because we're both writers and this is how we process. It's the most gorgeous thing. It's such a gift. It is. It's this knowingness that we have between one another. And the energy it's intoxicating. The memory, the history, the things that we hold within each other for each other is it's out of this world. It's something I've
Mm-hmm.
never experienced before. And you said it to me like, I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but Marcus found me. He reached out to me on LinkedIn and asked me to be on his podcast, The Christopher Mark Show. So our very first interview with each other, our little what would you call it? Like the discovery call. I looked at him and you were like, "Oh, hi." Like, "Oh, I oh." And I he, knew, I think you told me that like you knew way before I did.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Way
remember.
before I did because I was already, my things were crumbling in my world, things were coming apart in my world, but they were
Mm-hmm.
unbeknownst to me yet. I was still trying to hold on to things in my world, but they were starting to break and crumble. I was going through a lot of heartache in my personal world. But then really when, once I got to Connecticut, that was when I started to realize like over our conversations, really in January. It really didn't start until January of this year where I was like, I think I love this man. I love him. Like, whoa. because I was really, after my last relationship, with somebody that I really, really thought that I would be with for the rest of my life. Um, and he knew what was happening. He let me go. He's like, no, Maria, you are meant for more things. What's going to happen is not going to be with me. And like, it's okay. And he prepared me for all of this. And he's a lovely person. And I have a lot of love and care for him. But, he let me go. And July and August were incredibly hard months for me last year. But I got to the point at the end of August where I was like, yep, I got to be alone. I got to be alone. I got to do my work. And I was just like so invigorated and so focused. I was like working at farmers markets on the weekends and saving money and like just getting my shit together. And I was like, I got to do this thing in Connecticut. Like, I just knew, like, this is what I have to do. And it's like, I've said this over and over again since the last major awakening, for me in 2019, that I am compelled by my soul. Like Adelia, she is the leader, my soul leader. Maria gets kind of dragged along for the ride a lot of the
Mhm.
times, because that's what's happening. That's what's
Yeah.
happening. And like my soul knows before my human self does. And then of course I make adjustments and I go with it. But you said that to me so many times. You're like, you just attack things head on. Like you just go. I'm like, it's all I know to do because I see everything in such a broad perspective.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, okay, here we go. Like all at once, like everything just, yeah. And again, so the rest of the world looks totally nuts and wacky. But I know what's happening. My soul knows what's happening. My guides know what's happening, and I just trust God.
Yeah, yeah. I
Keep
mean,
keep calm and trust God.
yeah. I mean, I think that's the one thing. Like this is the funny thing, right? So yeah, if you'll
The
notice,
one thing. The
the
one
one
thing, right, Marcus? The one thing.
is the one thing. And when I first started saying that, she was just like, "What do you mean it's the one thing? It's like, you
There's so
know,
many things.
so many things. What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "No, it's like this. Even though there's like this huge puzzle, and I always look at things as like these huge puzzle pieces, and I'm like, there's always that one piece that you really like. You're trying to figure out where it goes, but you also don't want to put it in the place that it goes because it's once it's there, it's complete." And so it's like that one thing that you kind of like, you just wait, you just wait and you kind of like look and put everything else together. But it's also the one thing that you admire and point out that matters the most. Um, but I noticed that like when me and Maria started to uh, did our interview, I remember talking to her, and it was right after the interview was over, and we were staring at each other, and I like time stopped. I don't know if anyone has this ever happened for anybody. I mean, this has happened a lot in my life, but at specific moments when I knew that this was something different. And I was staring into her eyes, and I felt this pull um, into peace, you know? Um, and it was so familiar. It's like you kind of like knowing who your family member is, or knowing who, um, or what belongs to you, or knowing what feels right to you, or knowing what's a part of you, or knowing what's missing. That's what it felt like. And so I got this, message from God. He was like, "Hey, listen, stay close to her." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I just sent her like all this information about, "Hey, you need to start a podcast, and you do this and you do that." So, afterwards she was just like, yeah, later." And so all this time went by, and then she resurfaced back, and she was just like, "Hey, I'm doing my first event." And I was just like, oh, snap. Like I thought that, um, there was a lot of thoughts running through my mind. It's like, oh, she's really nice, but she lives here. Or this will never work. Like, she lives in Florida. She's with somebody. It's not going to work. But I also was like, at the same time, I'm like, okay, if this is supposed to work, it has to be her choice. And yeah. And so it's just, this connection goes very, very deep. And it's more that we're going to tell you to the story because it's a lot of funny moments.
There's
It's
a
a lot.
lot of funny moments, but right now, after we've shared everything, I would like to wrap up with some light language with you. Would you like
Sure.
to begin? And I'll respond.
Yeah, sure. Inunokasha marashinu va mayasha. Erorokufa mayana kisha va mahomba mayata yakasha naya kuva mayate shina. Avemia kashalaro kuva marasha nakarara shuva mina yakarova maya dia karara shara kuva mamaya shanina kayachonaya. Ea muva mayashe, alara kuva mama shaya karashi na kveya mayata otrara mayatre shinaya. Hayashova mayate ke, alara shuve miyana kayaku, yere mayaka la shaya mayata. Hayashukuva mayata shuva mayakia shayata.
Ria sakaria koreka shipa tai sime tai reako o talia katuri makisha ai reako to pureka tai a shokruka tai taka automatai to kata anika e kata kata uta aka kreka tashite aparia makato o te fishe tataria pakato o te pata ia kacha adliga kata to tiji pete petaria ma prekata lekeka tuta atapachene na aria koto ushitaria kasheria kata ya na feminiano Ninia matinia na ninia shonia Nashiria Sharia Shonya Yeria Senia Makaria Koto Uritepa Afriga Ateria Aharia Kasutoria Kakata Teshukrika Patemakata Yeseria Solea Saia Keama Eria Seo Keshaya Seikapaya Aria Seriaya Ario Emaya Ea, oh, And someday we will sing together because Marcus and I are also singers. So we're poets, we're singers, we're light language artists, we're galactic ambassadors. We are here to shine light and inspire love in this world, in a world that wants to separate, that wants for people to be suffering. We are here to rise hand in hand. Lead the way. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Episode 3. That's a wrap.
That is a wrap.
In light and shadow, always with love. Namaste.
Peace out, guys. See you on the next one.